We are live. Let's see who taps in here. See what happens. See what happens. It is Friday. Yo, Banano, my man. What's going on with you, brother? Always appreciate the love, man. Always appreciate it. In fact. Mm-hmm. What else we got? Cooling out, bro. How was your week so far, man? I can't believe little man, yo. He getting big. It's crazy to me. It's really like phenomenal to see like how far he's come and how well he's doing, man. Bum, what's going on? Always there for the support. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. See, Derek is on here. Bum. We've been good. He good. He's with mom right now. All right, no doubt. No doubt. You know how that goes for sure. Conversation for another day. We'll have to chop it up this weekend a little bit. Tell me about it. But as long as he's good, though, that's number one always, man. Number one always. So how you feeling about your Yankees, man? They start getting some folks back in the next few days, right? So I think they talked about Aaron Judge maybe coming back next week sometime. So we'll see what kind of mode he's going to be in, how long it takes for him to get into the swing of things. You know what I mean? Yeah, they've been hitting good, pitching good. It's been good for sure. It's been good. If the hitting can catch up to the pitching once the pitching gets back right, you guys, yeah, they're gonna be scary. Which right now, man, it really seems like nobody is really afraid of the Dodgers. Like there for a while, everybody was talking about the Dodgers, the Dodgers, the Dodgers. Now it don't seem like nobody really is afraid of them. So, and then the Red Sox, they went on that streak, and it's like they just completely ran out of gas, a straight rocket ship, straight up, and then plummeting right now. So, who knows? Maybe they peaked too early, right? Hey, what's going on? Is that Big Shoe or is that Tim? Which one? Which one? Let me know. There's another podcast that you guys got to check out too. Big Shoe, Relationship Explorers podcast. You guys got to check that one out with my brothers, Big Shoe and Tim, exploring all aspects of different types of relationships. Man, it's cool. So they're exploring that. So if you guys will highlight it again as hopefully some more folks pop in here, we'll shout you out, Shoe. How you been, man? How's the family? Everybody good? Happy to see you here, man. Happy to see you here. Send this out real quick. Turn it around. There we go. All right, so we had a few more trickle in here, man. Make sure you guys tap in. Let me know who's here. Let me know who's here. We standing firm. Love what you're doing, man. Appreciate that, Big Shoe. That means a lot coming from you, big bro. Yeah, man, just trying to do something, different. I'm pretty laid back, so figure I try to put myself out here. I love talking sports, but at the same token, just trying to find a space to where everything is not about debating, everything isn't about divisiveness, people being upset, screaming and yelling. That's not my personality anyways, but for me, it's just about, hey, can we talk about sports in a cool way? Maybe talk about some stories that other people aren't talking about. I still plan on having my Women Wednesdays once a month, to where we just highlight, women's sports, what's going on. Still have some interviews hopefully coming up soon. I touched base with one of my brothers who's a globetrotter, and he confirmed that he's good with the interview. So looking forward to scheduling something with him. So that's going to be good. So yeah, just got some fun things coming up that I just think is just going to separate us a little bit from some of the other shows. And then, like my boy Ron said, if you read his comments, it's just cool to actually have something that he said he can listen to, at work. You don't have to worry about a whole bunch of cussing and craziness going on. So yeah, it's just a positive podcast, man. The main thing is really, like, I just kind of realized, like, as I watched a lot of shows and I watch different podcasts as well, is that usually the perspective is, right, the athlete that now has turned into an analyst, or it's the journalist that's done this forever who analyzes sports. But a lot of times what's get lost is the fans' perspective, right? Like, how we feel about things sometimes doesn't get covered. And I get it. You got to have both of those perspectives. The athlete's perspective, to me, I love that side of it more so than the journalist. The journalist side I get, but a lot of times it puts people down. It can get a little dicey. And some of them have their own agenda. Some of them, don't like certain players. So, they're not going to write positive about them no matter what. And so for me, I just felt like, man, this is not really a space for fans to really get our perspective out there about how we feel about things. And sometimes I feel like, we're the ones that buy the jerseys. We're the ones that go to the games. We're the ones that do all of these things. And we kind of get forgotten when it comes, to the actual shows. So that's the premise. So we'll see what happens. We'll see, how many people, log in. We went from 7 down to 3. So hopefully, more folks hop on here. Hopefully they ain't having no technical difficulties. We'll see what happens, and hope that we can get our numbers up just a little bit. Again, I'm just trying it today. We'll talk about the actual day that I'm going to go live. You know what I mean? Hey, Keish. Yeah, consistency is the key. Yeah, that's what everybody says, man. Like, for real. Like they said, don't get frustrated, D. Like, just keep putting out stuff. So that's why I really want to work on just doing some little 10-minute clips that I can put out and start putting out hopefully by like Monday, Tuesday, one of those days, just start maybe floating some out. And then we're looking at Wednesday, 9:00, going live. That'll be our consistent live night where we can talk about football over the weekend, any basketball, anything like that. That'll be fine. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. Let me see something. We dropping like flies here. But yeah, that's what everybody say, D. Is just keep putting it out. I know it ain't gonna happen overnight, man. Seeing some of these shows, that I watch some, they've been talking like where they are. It took them, 3-4 years to get like to the point to where they have sponsorship and really can almost do this full time. So I know it doesn't happen overnight, man. So we'll see what happens for sure. Let's see. Looks like we dropped quite a few. I hope people's connections wasn't bad, but we were up quite a bit and then we dropped. So who's still on right now? Is it just Bum and Keish? Is that it? It must be it. Okay. Okay. Still rocking. All right. So maybe the number that I see on the screen is different than actually who's here. But it went from like 7 or 8 down to 2 real fast. So I was like, maybe I'm boring everybody already, and they jumping off. I was just trying to see how many we get up here before. Okay, yeah. So the numbers must be off or delayed or something, because that's more than 2 from what I see up here. So um, yeah, that's crazy. Big Shoe, how's the fam is good? Everybody's all right? Man, we miss seeing you guys, man. We miss seeing you guys. But I'm happy to see you and Tim doing good, man. And I hope you guys as families doing good. I love what you guys are doing. I love you guys' show as well. I think it's in the same vein as far as like looking at things positively. You know what I mean? Without dogging different sides out. Just looking at things from just a inquisitive perspective. I like that a whole lot, man. So I think that's real cool. I think that's a nice setup. So hopefully I'll be supporting you guys, and as this thing kind of grows and hopefully spreads, and we get more and more people that jump on and more people that support, then I'll definitely be sharing with more and more people. You know what I mean? That's really going to be the plan, is you know also have an opportunity to shout out other people, other shows that they might be doing, and just kind of create a bit of a community, I guess would be the word, to where we can support each other, and all kind of the same mindset, just being positive, keeping things light, you know um, and just making people feel good when they log off. We want them to have a really good feeling, like, oh man, that was nice, that was fun, we laughed, we talked, maybe got some information that we didn't have before, but it's cool. So that's the idea. So yeah, we'll see if anybody else. I went ahead and sent some more messages out on IG and to some of the groups that I'm on. So we'll see if anybody else shows up. Had a lot saying that they were going to join, so we'll see what happens, man. What do you say, Shu? Yeah, family, positivity, realness. Yeah, yeah. That really is that's the key, man. Absolutely the key, for sure. Um, I like it. I like it. Especially today's day and age, man. We need that. We need that more than ever. Like we need that more than ever. You can find negativity everywhere. In places. Think about this, Shoe. Like, and Derek, you let me know if you feel the same way. Um, like, I remember there were certain things that you could do in certain places you could go to where it literally was a positive experience, right? Like, who would have ever thought sports would create like negativity? I never ever would have thought that sports. I remember as a kid sitting with my family and we would watch sports. There was always debates. There was always, people's favorite player or whatever. But as a family, we just enjoyed watching sports. I can remember one year like being with fam that were, Atlanta Falcon fans, and a whole room full of Steeler fans. And, we laughed and we picked on each other through the whole process, but it was still an enjoyable experience. Now it seems like, man, you almost have to just watch sports by yourself, because if you don't, you offend somebody and somebody got to take it negative. So a lot of the spaces, man, that it used to be where you could have fun and enjoy things, you can't even do that no more. It's so wild. It's so wild to me. So yeah, just trying to create that space to where people can come and we can have fun. You know what I mean? Mainstream look for the negative. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything is controversial. Everything is, who can be the most negative, and it's like whoever the most negative is wins, which is wild to me. Um, like a lot of the shows that I used to like to watch on, certain networks or whatever, like I don't even enjoy them no more. It's just it used to be fun. You know, they have segments in there that used to be fun. Now it's like everything is just it's a fuss, it's a fight. Then they get personal, and then you can tell when they come back from a commercial that there was some uncomfortableness there. Somebody did something or said something. So and I think honestly, what has happened is so many anchors and things have become celebrities themselves, and now everybody's trying to get a bite of the apple, and so they just become the exactly the controversy sells. That's exactly it. And I think that a lot of these um, sportscasters, like I said, former athletes already have a following anyways, and so it just becomes that much easier to have podcasts or other shows, and then you automatically starting off with 100,000 people watching them because you have that or more followers already, and so um, everybody wants to like get their bite of the apple, and so it just becomes this negative thing where people just have to go at each other, and the more that they can go at each other, then the more clicks that people get because now they want to see what this guy said because that guy said something about him. So let me go over to his page and I'll click and watch what he said because he has to respond. What happened here or what controversy happened on this? Like it's too much. So it just takes the joy out of sports. So this show, I just wanted to be a little bit different. I just wanted to be just good old fashioned. Um, yeah, same old cycle. Yep. You know what I mean? I just want to just be good old fashioned fun, man. Like we can laugh, we can talk, we'll have fun. There'll be some things, topics. There might be breaking news that, that pops off and I go live and we just talk about it. But overall, man, let's just talk sports like we used to be able to talk sports. You can share your opinion, your thoughts, your feelings on it. And it doesn't mean everybody's going to necessarily agree with everything that you say, but you should at least be able to say it and be heard. And that really is the point of the show. And I want to make this an interactive show. So when I'm live, the idea is yes, I'll have a subject matter that I'll kind of touch on and talk about, but I also want to read the comments of what people are saying. And I know as it grows and as things move, hopefully, I won't be able to, you know what I mean? Be able to read everybody's, but hopefully we'll be able to make it as interactive as possible. So what about Braun going to your home state? Yeah, he over there on the East Coast. Well, actually, he's staying in New Jersey or New York. But yeah, you know what? Big Shoot, we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday. And I talked to my boy Kyle. He's not on right now. Kay, he's from Philly. He's a huge Sixer fan. I talked to him this afternoon. We were talking about it, and it's just one of those things to where it's either going to be a great season for them or it's going to be a disaster. Like I don't feel like there's really a lot of in between. I mean, you've got Edgecombe, you've got Maxey, you've got Brown, you've got LeBron. So now you got 4 forwards or guards that pretty much dominate the basketball, right? So then you have Embiid, who, when he's healthy and hopefully gets himself in some better shape than what he was in the postseason last season, he's going to want the ball. So now you got your starting 5 potentially all are ball dominant players. So my question really boils down to the coach, like Nick Nurse. Man, yeah, expectations will be high. So I look at it from a coaching standpoint. Like, will the coach be able to create a system sort of like Golden State to a degree to where that ball moves, everybody gets touches, and the open shot or the mismatch gets exposed, and that player gets the benefit from the ball movement. If it comes down to guys being unhappy because, maybe, Jaylen Brown, the finals MVP, goes from being able to shoot the ball 25 to 30 times a game, and now his shots are down to 15, and he's not happy with that. If it comes down to Maxey saying, look, I ran the show last year, got us to the playoffs without Joel Embiid, just me and Edgecombe, young guys ripping and running. And now his touches are down, or he feels like he doesn't have as much control with the ball in his hand. That can create some dissent. And then you have LeBron himself, man. I like LeBron's game. I'm not a LeBron hater like so many people. but I do think he's very ball dominant, right? He has to dribble, 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 dribble. And at his age now, again, is there going to be some sort of a system that can create? Because the young boys is going to want to get out and run. LeBron's going to want to slow everything down. Um, same thing with Embiid. He's going to want to slow everything down as well. So what kind of system is going to be in play to let Brown, Maxey, and Edgecombe get out and run the way that they want to? But at the same time, if the defense is set, we still can have LeBron run the show. We can drop it down to Embiid, slow things down, and still score. I don't know. Nick Nurse has never had a team like this. When he had Kawhi and them in Toronto the year that they won the championship, Kawhi pretty much was the alpha. Van Fleet and those guys, they fit that system, and it worked. This is going to be totally different. So I really don't know. And Philly is tough, man. If Bron thought LA was tough and those fans were tough, man, yeah. Yeah, is that what Bron said? Nick could be all right as the coach. He's on a great team to be a player coach. Yeah. Bron could be. Yeah. I mean, and that could help. Bron's played in every type of system possible, so maybe he'll have some suggestions. I'd like to think I haven't seen a whole lot of footage of them all together. I know they've all been kind of working out separately. I would like to see them all on the court, practicing, working, talking, communicating, going out to dinner, trying to figure this thing out. Because if they don't, then the communication is going to break down. It's going to lack, and it could cause problems. So it's going to be an interesting season. That's going to be one of my first shows that'll drop next week on YouTube. That's why it's important to subscribe, hit the notification button so that you get notified. Where we at? Elijah, what's up, bro? What's going on with you, man? Thanks for tapping in. I appreciate you. Man. I plan on being at the rink tomorrow night skating, man. So if you around, we'll be there for sure. I see a few other people jumped on. If you jumped on, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification. But then let me know who's here. Let me know who's. Oh, there he is. Funk Miller's in the house, my man. Mardell, good to see you, brother. If he can feed E, they get a chip. Yeah, I hear you, Funk, for sure. Jermaine, what's up, bro? What's going on, man? Thank you for tapping in. Yeah, I got you. I know who you are, brother. Thanks for tapping in, man. Yeah, hey, Mar, you might be right, man. We were just talking about that. Like, if Nick Nurse can come up with a system that's going to coordinate well with that team, it's got to be a nice ebb and flow because they got a lot of young pieces, man, and they were out running last year. And as soon as Embiid came back, everything grinded to a halt, and that's when they got swept in the playoffs. So hopefully he can create some sort of a system that's going to allow, the young boys to get out and go with Brown now, but then also be able to slow it down if need be and still, get things moving in a half-court set. It's going to be a real interesting season. The East might actually be more competitive than the West. What do you guys think about that? What do you say, sweep? I forgot. Bonanno is a Knicks fan. He's a New Yorker, so he gonna think New York gonna sweep. Well, they did sweep them last year, so I don't know if that's gonna be a sweep this year. Bonanno, I don't know about that, but yeah, they did sweep them last year. I do think it would have been more competitive if my man wouldn't have came back. You know what I mean? If Embiid would have stayed out, because them young boys was running, man. East is always the beast. Hey, that's for sure, Funk, for real. This year, though, man, there was a little stretch there, Mar, where the West was like, the West was strong. Listen, we can't sleep on the West either. You still, your top. I'm gonna say, record-wise, your top 3 teams are coming out of the West. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, think about it, because OKC is going to be healthy again. San Antonio added some pieces. Yep. East is gaining big momentum. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, big shoe for sure. That's what I'm saying. You can't count OKC. They're going to be back healthy. And think of all the draft picks that they have. They drafted some great pieces even this year. They have probably another 3 years of like great draft picks that they're going to be able to keep building this team, even if they lose a piece here and there. You got San Antonio. Um, they added some pieces as well without losing, their core. So they're going to be right back in the mix. From my understanding, everything that I've seen and read, Wemby he's been on a tear this summer. And so, if that's any inclination of what it's going to be like for the league with him is, his third year in, it's going to be, yeah, yep, he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem, Big Shoe, for sure. He definitely is, man. Especially, with Wemby, if he can put on 30 pounds, maybe, being so tall, 30 pounds or so. But I think, that's it. We say, Funk, I'm not a Bron fan, great player. If there's not playing with each other right now as you speak, then they shoot him. Yeah, yeah. I just haven't seen anything. I don't know, Funk. They might be, but I mean, I haven't even seen like him and Jalen getting any shots up, and those are the two new guys. You know what I mean? So I would like to think that they would be. With training camp starting up next month, I feel like they should at least be in some open run somewhere. Just running. Before training camp, just to kind of get a feel for each other, at least have those conversations. But they might be texting, they might be FaceTime, and they might be talking and getting things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Wemby, yeah, he's like I said. If back to Wemby, like if he can get 30 pounds on him to where he's not getting pushed and straight to the ground, it's going to be a problem. I mean, he's going to be a problem for the league. I mean, and in that young core with, I mean, those guys and the experience that they got in the finals this year, it's going to be a problem. So you got them, right? OKC. You can't count out, Denver ever. You can't count out, LA might be okay. I don't know, with Luka not really having to share the ball, the way they're building that team up, they're trying to build it like what Luka had in Dallas, and they went to the finals, in Dallas that year. So who knows? LA may be right in the mix. You got Houston with Van Fleet back with another year of Kevin Durant and those guys there. So Houston's going to be tough. Who knows what Portland's going to do? Portland's going to be tough too. They have length and they have veteran with Dame Lillard, and now they added Ja and young guards that they have there. They're going to be another team that's going to be interesting to watch, like a great mixture. Yeah, I see you, Jermaine. Yeah, OKC, they might, man. They might. But, they get healthy again, though. They didn't lose anybody, and they drafted well. That's what I'm saying. Like, this season is going to be so intriguing to me. And that's just really the West. When you come to the East, I mean, you got Giannis in Miami. I don't really think they're going to make a lot of noise. Me personally, and I'm a Giannis fan, I don't understand the move. Because to me, it's like he went from Milwaukee to Milwaukee. You know what I mean? Like, Miami has no guard play at all. And so it's almost like what you had in Milwaukee is now what you have in Miami. So unless he left to simply say he has more trust that Pat Riley and those guys will get more around him, or he's saying, hey, Bam is a better number two than I had in Milwaukee, then that would make sense. But as far as the team, the way it's structured right now, like, nah, I can't. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. For him to go, from there to Miami. But you have them, they're in the mix. We can't forget about Boston. Tatum back fully for a full year, healthy, right? Like he's going to get better than what he was at the end of the season. So Boston's going to be in the mix. You got New York. Listen, hey, Bonanno, I know you might not want to hear this, right? But your center, he left. He's in Boston now. You know what I mean? And he was a huge part for you guys, because how many big men can you find that just want to rebound and pass the ball to Brunson? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean, look, they walked through the door that was open to them, this past year. And I'm not saying that they won't be in the mix, because they should be, for sure. But a lot of things kind of went right for them, last year. And they did the right thing. Are you talking about the Heat? Okay, yeah. The Heat needs a few years. Yeah. Yeah, you forgot. Yeah, y'all lost him, man. But he was huge for you guys. I mean, he played Wemby tough. He was moving his feet when they would run the pick and rolls with the guards. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, Jermaine. Like they might be, I think he's just looking at Bam as like a better number two than what he has in Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? We did get another rebounder, Drummond. Okay, so here's the thing. Drummond is a great rebounder, but for the pace that y'all want to run, will he slide his feet on defense the way um, Robinson did? See, Robinson played that pick and roll perfectly. When teams would run off that pick, he could move his feet. Drummond, that's never really been his strong suit. That's why he's kind of like moved around the league a little bit. He's a great rebounder in his prime, but is he going to be somebody that teams are just going to put in that pick and roll? And I mean, that's kind of what happened to him in Detroit the last couple of years. Teams would just put him in the pick and roll and just let the guards go to work on him. So we'll see. This is all to me what's piquing my interest for this season because it's wide open. Don't forget, right? Indiana made some moves. They get their superstar back. We'll see what Indiana ends up looking at. Toronto is going to be tough. Um, they're always kind of in the mix. I mean, there's just a lot of teams in the East right now that is going to make it real intriguing, to me. Orlando is another team. If they can just get the young guys to progress a little bit with Banchero and them, like another team that made the playoffs, do they make another round this upcoming year? Do they take another step forward? Detroit, another team, right? They're kind of in the mix. They're always like right there. They were a point guard away last year. They needed a playmaker. They needed somebody that can take the pressure and hit shots. Do they have that now? We'll see. It's truly going to be an interesting season. So it's going to be wild. I like Orlando. They grew a little. Yeah. Hey, Jermaine. You gotta go through those. You know, nah. Philly got it 100%. Who is this? Sub Zero. Welcome to the Listen Man show, man. Let us know who you are. Tap in. Welcome to the family. Hopefully you'll support the channel. We appreciate you tapping in on the live. So you feel like Philly got it 100%? Are you saying even over the West, or are you saying in the East? He said Orlando will be solid this season. Yeah. I feel you, Jermaine, for sure. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. It's gonna be a lot. Oh, there go Kendall. What's up? What's going on, bro? How you? Oh, okay. Jordan, what's up, man? That's you. You got Philly, huh? So both. So do you and Kendall have Philly 100%? Oh, okay, in the East. I got you. Listen, on paper, on paper, you might be right. I still won't say 100% because when was the last time LeBron played a full season? You got to go back 6, 7 years. We know what Joel Embiid's been since he got in. So a lock, 100%. I don't know about that. Injury plays, a major role. But on paper, should you guys be the favorite coming out of the East? Absolutely. Absolutely, Philly should be. But I mean, it's a long season, man. Things happen. My biggest question, as we already talked about, I know you just jumped on, Jordan, was what kind of system are they going to run? Are they going to have enough basketballs for Edgecombe, for Maxey, for Brown, for LeBron and Embiid? You know what I mean? So we're going to find out real quick what that chemistry is going to look like. So I would say I wouldn't expect much from Philly out of the first couple of months. Give it some time to let them gel, but they might be all right. You know what I mean? Knicks going to drag the East this season, in my estimation. Philly ain't no lie. I forgot. Hey, Bonanno, you and Jermaine, two New York brothers. You know what I mean? So yeah, you guys gonna be rocking with the Knicks. Listen, again, the Knicks didn't lose anybody. Don't. Hey, Jermaine, the only thing that worries me about the Knicks, well, actually, it's two things. One, they had the perfect storm last season. I mean, they had teams with players. Like I said, the door opened, they walked through it. You can only play who you play. That's just sports. Doesn't matter, right? The other thing I would say is just, age. The team, they got to get a little bit younger. You know what I'm saying? The way that they play defense and all, like it wears on you. Can they do that again for another season after playing all the way into June? We'll find out. They lost Biggs. Again, that's a question for me. That's a huge part of their team. Everybody's unselfish. They know Brunson is going to be the one shooting majority of the shots. So can we find a big that doesn't need the ball in order to play? Drummond is great, but Drummond sometimes those temper tantrums if he doesn't get touches. So how would that work? You know what I mean? Can't sleep on Indy. Yeah, there you go, Big Shoe. That's what I was saying. Like, Indy's going to be in the mix. We forget they was in the finals just 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, one injury away from potentially winning that one. They may have won. If LeBron was in his prime, the 76ers and Jordan in his prime, and his crew was together, who went in 7 games? Kendall. It ain't even close, brother. It's going to be them Bulls, man. Listen, like I said, it's all love here, man. We have fun talking sports, but I just don't think people understand just how tough Mike was, man. And we're talking about the East right now, and y'all are saying like Philly is a lock. I think people forget how tough the East was when Mike played. You had the Pacers, you had the Knicks, you had the Celtics, you had Orlando for a while with Shaq and them down there, then Penny and them down there. You had Charlotte with Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning. Listen, the East was tough, man. The East was tough. So, yeah, Mike in his prime with the Bulls, especially if we go with the Dennis Rodman Bulls against the 76ers, I would give Philly maybe 2 games. Maybe. Two. I don't think it's going 7. Yeah, it's just I know that might not sound like what you want, but that's just the honest truth, dude. Like, let me ask you this, Kendall. You and Jordan, I know you guys are Bron fans, like big Bron fans, and that's cool. Let me ask you this: when LeBron was in his prime and Kobe was playing, who do you think was the better player? Both in their primes. Who was the better player? You answer that question, and then we'll keep talking about what would happen if this 76er squad with Bron in his prime played, the Bulls squad with Ron Harper and man, listen, that just okay, Kobe. All right, so Kendall, you're saying Kobe. So now Kobe, as great as he was not Michael Jordan. So I'm just simply saying it Big Shoe said it best. There's no comparison. There's no compromise when it comes to Mike, man. And I just think it's hard for people who never saw him play or watch full games to understand just how skilled he was and what he had to go through. You know what I mean? So that's a whole nother argument. Let me see something real quick. They took advantage of what was in front of them and it was their best chance to run. Yeah, hey, Bonanno for sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's sports, right? Like, that's like Denver last year, or the Patriots made it to the Super Bowl. Their schedule, like, they just play the teams in front of them, and that's what you're supposed to do. It just is what it is, man. And I think it's that way. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So we kind of, let's see, Halliburton rise again, but Indy did them dirty by getting rid of the. Yeah, they did. They did, Jermaine. I agree with that one, man. For him to be your franchise guy. But then again, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. You have big contracts coming up for all of them because they played so well. That's the downside of playing well in the playoff. You get these guys and they're on their 3rd or 4th year contract, and now they have to come up with max money. And it's like, do we give them max? Are these guys worth max just because the market dictates it? We don't know. And so they err on the side of caution. And I'm a firm believer in this, just knowing what I know and knowing guys that I know. None of these superstar players are allowing teammates to go without organizations talking to them and to some degree getting the okay. Not that they necessarily want him to go, but trust me, based on the vision of what they're trying to do, you know what I mean? They're doing it. Yeah, the second apron is killing it. But you know why we have the second apron, Jordan? Do you know why? I'll see if you know the answer to that question as to why we have the second apron now. Let's see. Yeah, MJ was the greatest, but yeah, Kobe was a distant. Yeah, I mean, listen, um, Cole patterned his whole game after Mike, and he's one of the few guys that actually had the same drive as Mike. He was a few guys that had the same competitive fervor as Mike. All of those things. Kobe was a better overall shooter than Mike. I'll give him that. But skilled, I think Kenny Smith said it best. There's nobody better skilled than Mike. Mike could finish with the left, with the right, above the rim, below the rim. His footwork was impeccable. I mean, there's just nobody. There's nobody like Mike. Man, it just isn't. Speaking on the Pacers, how do you think their season will go? Honestly, I have to look into it. So when I do the episode on the upcoming season, I'll kind of have more time to look at some of these teams and see who the Pacers brought in to fill some of the voids that they had. I'm a Siakam fan. I think he's so underrated. That's like my guy. I hate that Toronto let him go. I actually was hoping Milwaukee would have tried to trade for him to get him there with Giannis when Giannis was there, because I felt like that would have been a great pairing, those two. But he's too valuable for Indy. So we'll see what happens with their season. Warriors, you find a way when you're on the verge of winning it all, bro. Yeah. Holly was going to get that. Listen, that would have been an interesting one right there, Jermaine. I don't know what would have happened, because they looked like they was giving OKC everything until he went down. So and that was in OKC. So there's a great chance that the Pacers could have got their first championship if he didn't go down. It's them daggone low cuts, man. I keep telling these kids that I can't, I see them at stop wearing low cuts. Y'all tearing your Achilles up. You ain't got no support, man. You tearing them up. That's what it is. Let's see. What did somebody else say about it? MJ. Yeah, Banano. MJ was 101. It ain't even a question, brother. It's just it. So real quick, without getting into it too deep, everybody talks about the greatest of all time, and every era is going to have their great, right? Here's my simple formula for the greatest of all time, and you guys tell me if you agree. Doesn't mean that I'm right. It's just my thoughts on it. If you're going to say the greatest of, the key to me is always all time. That means I should be able to take one player and drop him into any era, any rules played in that era, and they are going to unequivocally be the best player the moment that I drop them into the league. So if you want to say LeBron is the greatest of all time, then you're telling me that you can take LeBron in his prime. Let's just say his prime was 2016. Let's just say between 2013 to 2017, 2018. So let's just say that that's his prime, right? Physically, athletically, all of that stuff. And we're saying we're dropping him now, let's say 2000 to 2010. Where the Kobe's and the Tim Duncans and all of them were ruling. You're telling me that he's going to be the absolute best player in the league at that time. Then we have to go back to the 90s. You're telling me that from the 90s to say 97, 98, he would be the best player in the world at that time. He would be able to do what he's done under the rules of hand checking. Flagrant fouls that are today were just common fouls. You had to get your butt up and go shoot free throws and then go do it again. And you're telling me that that person is going to do that. Those are the questions that you have to ask when you say the greatest of all time. That's another reason why, me personally, I feel like you think the 2018 Bron would be the best player in any year. Again, man, listen, I think Bron is great. I think he's one of the greatest. But when you look at the way the game is played, If you put him in the 90s, right, that would be the era that would, you disagree. Kobe was more skilled, but MJ was super duper athletic, but definitely crazy skill too. Kobe was more skilled, bro. Even MJ said might get him in a one-on-one. Yeah, that to me that was shooting though, Jermaine. You know what I mean? Like he knew he could shoot better. But if you look at the footwork, where did Kobe get his footwork from? He got it from Mike, right? Where did Kobe get his post game from? From Mike. Feeling the contact, he got that from Mike. So it's hard for me to say he was more skilled when he learned everything he did from Mike. And Mike to me did it at a higher level than Kobe did. And he didn't have to shoot the volume of shots that Kobe did to get with Kobe. So there's just, it's like a thin line. Like you said, it's 1A and 1B as far as skill set. But you're right. Mike was just crazy athletic early on. But skill wise, I think Kobe's a better shooter. But Mike, especially getting into his 30s, showed that he was much more skilled than Kobe was in his 30s. You know what I mean? Like if that makes sense. Would you say Big Shoe, no cap? Only MJ fits the category, not just for one season either. Yeah, not just about right. And that's my thing. So this is where sometimes if you don't know, you just don't know. It's not a negative. It's nothing bad. But look at the rules in the 90s. You could literally, so here, Jordan and Kendall, these are my young Listen Man family members, right? You could actually hand check the full length of the court. So in other words, I could put my hand on your hip. I could put my forearm on your hip and your waist. I literally could hand check you. That's not allowed today. That's not been allowed for like the last 15, 16 years. They wanted to speed the pace of the game up. So how do you do that? Well, you allow guys to get running starts, right? That's one way. In the 90s, it wasn't happening that way. You had to be able to move the ball. You had to be able to control it. You had to be able to fight through contact. Then here's other components that I think sometimes get lost in translation. In the 90s, you had true positions. So I know everybody talks about the positionless players, but it actually hurts the GOAT argument for some players because think about it. If you got past your guard, you were running into Karl Malone, who was bigger than LeBron James as a power forward. You were running into Akeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, David Robinson. Every team had centers that guarded the rim. So it wasn't this easy run to where you're the biggest guy on the court, and then once you got past your guy, there really wasn't anybody at the rim to do anything. Like you had to go through two more levels to to get it. You know what I mean? Let me see where we're at. So the game has been changed to allow for more. Correct. Yeah, Jordan. It's much more because what was happening in the 90s, high scoring games would be like 105 to 98 or something, right? And those were rare. So what people wanted to see was they wanted to see more action. They wanted to see the dunks more. They wanted to see more open court. And then once the three ball really got involved, they wanted to see that a whole lot more. The more points, the more action. That's what people wanted to see. So yes, they changed the rules to speed the game up. Right? It's kind of like baseball with pitching. They want to see more home runs. So they changed the rules so that now everybody's hitting home runs more because of the rules. Right? Let's see where we at. Stop. Kobe even said, there's no Mike, there's no Kobe. Yeah, correct. Yep. Kobe got a lot from people. Kobe got it from Akeem. Yep. But I watched footwork. I never seen better footwork than Kobe. No, listen. I'm right there with you, Jermaine. Like I'm not disputing it. And I'm not just talking about footwork. When I say skill, I'm just talking overall. Take the whole package. If you take everything, Mike just didn't have a weakness. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that makes sense. And I'll give him this edge over Kobe too. And I'm a Kobe dude. You know what I mean? My boy Hump played for Kobe's dad over in Japan. He played for Jelly Bean. You know what I mean? He would go in the summertime and go work out with him. So I'm a Kobe dude. Mike consistently played defense. He was all defense like his whole career. Like there was never no break, even on the teams where he didn't have a lot of help. And that's just one of, again, so when I talk about skill, I'm talking about it on both sides of the ball. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. I think Curry is above LeBron and even on MJ and Kobe's level. Make that your next show. Yeah, yeah. We may have to do that. Like I said, we can definitely talk about it. I don't want to be one of those guys that have to knock somebody down to build somebody else up. It's just that there are differences. And the reason why I posed the question the way that I posed it was really simple. It was really because there was no question that Mike was the best player in the league. Remember when he came in his rookie year, like he set the league on fire to where by his second year, when he got his team to the playoffs, they lost to Bird. Remember, Bird even said, that wasn't a basketball player. That was Jesus or God in Nikes. You know what I'm saying? So they already were on notice, like this dude is the best dude in the league. And then it just consistently just got to the point to where it didn't matter who you were a fan of. Again, me and my boy Kay was talking about that today. I was a huge Barkley fan. He's a Philly fan. I pattern a lot of my game after Barkley. I love Dominique Wilkins was my guy. Him and Mike used to go at it scoring wise. You know what I mean? But if somebody were to ask me, I knew Mike was the best player in the league. So if you want to look at LeBron, my man Jermaine just said it, right? There's always been that person there that people would say, well, I don't know. Is Bron the best? Because first it was Tim Duncan. Is he the best? No, Tim Duncan is the MVP. Tim Duncan is the best player. Then it kind of switched to Kobe. Oh, now it's Kobe, right? If you watch the Redeem Team on Netflix, Coach K even said it after the practice. He was like, we need an alpha. We need the best player in the world. And then they went out and got Kobe at the time. So that's with LeBron and D Wade and Bosh and all these guys. They said Kobe was the best player in the world, not LeBron. Then you fast forward to Steph Curry coming in. People started saying that Steph the best player in the world when he went on that stretch. You had Kevin Durant where people would say, man, you know what? KD in his prime at OKC. And then even in Golden State, it was like, is he the best player on the planet? Then you had Jokic. So there's always been this never happened with Mike. This never happened with Mike. Ever. And the players would be the first to say, Mike's the best dude in the world. That's one of the barometers, you know what I mean, that I have with Mike. And trust me, if you drop Mike in today's era, I'm talking prime Mike, athletic Mike with the post move, like you take that Mike and you put him today, no hand checking, no centers, no power forwards, no physical play, the speed and the pace of the game. Mike averaged 32 for his career. There's nothing in my mind that tells me Mike would not average at least 40. Easy. He would average 40 easy. Shai Gilgeous is averaging 30 right now, basically playing similar to the way Mike is playing. And he's nowhere near as athletic or skilled as Mike is. But everything about Shai's game is mid-range. And he's averaging 30, killing guys. Because guys don't run sets for defense. If you were to ask players, what type of defense are you playing? They can't tell you. Because they don't know. They don't study defensive tape. Everything is offense. Again, it's just differences in the eras. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of wild, fellas, And these are the things that we're going to talk about on this show, man. I mean, we're almost an hour in, so I'm not going to keep you guys much longer. But, that's the fun part about this show for me, is to be able to put out some content that is fun. We can talk about it without anybody getting mad. We don't have to disrespect nobody. Nobody will leave here, upset, thinking that, they weren't heard or listened to. And more importantly, man, we just get a chance to talk about sports in a fun way. None of us are getting paid by any of these teams, right? LeBron don't know us. Mike don't know us. You know what I'm saying? It's fun the way sports used to be. Barbershop talk. You know what I mean? Jermaine, you from New York. Banano, you're a barber. You're from New York. You know what I mean? Big Shoe, you remember going to the barbershop in Wilmington or whatever. I remember going to them in Pittsburgh. And so sometimes you just went in there because guys just would be in there just talking sports. it might get a little loud, but nobody left angry, right? It was fun. You learned things from the old heads at the time because they were giving you game about things that you didn't think about as a young person. But then you had to listen to the young guys because the young guys might bring out points that you're not thinking about. That's this channel in a nutshell, man. And that's why I wanted to be extremely diverse. I want to have, Kendall, Jordan, you guys spread the word to your boys. Let them know, man. I want to have a young audience, but I also want my guys like Big Shoe and Banano and Jermaine, Jermaine hooped, you know what I mean? So he understands, you know what I mean? My man, Funk Miller, that was up here, awesome point guard, you know what I mean? So, these guys will give a perspective that maybe, you young guys may not know, that well. So it's just real cool, you know what I mean? So that's what I want the show to be, is for us to talk about it. And yeah, Jermaine, I'm with you. So maybe on our next live, maybe that'll kind of be what we talk about, right? We can really dissect. That'll give everybody some time to do some homework, do some research, and everybody can kind of bring their points out of what they feel like, whoever they feel like is their GOAT. Man, we can chop it up. So here's what I want to do before we get up out of here is, one, I want to highlight the format of the show and what it's going to be moving forward. That way you guys can have an idea, and you also can, be ready to kind of tap in and hopefully support. Let me just read the last one. You're right. There was never a question MJ era. He was, yeah, Jermaine. It wasn't even, and like I said, I was a Neek fan. In the 90s, I wasn't even a Jordan fan at all. I was one of those guys that didn't appreciate his greatness until like a little bit later, towards the end of his career. I really appreciated what he brought to the game, because I was a Dominique guy, I was a Barkley guy, and a Hakeem Olajuwon guy. Those were the three that I patterned my game after, and so those were my favorite players. But if somebody were to ask me, as much as I love Neek, as much as I love Charles, as much as I love Hakeem, there's no way in the world I would say anybody other than Mike. And everybody was like that back then. You know what I mean? But Curry got a unanimous. Yeah, I got you. You know what I mean? Do you think MJ could have been as successful if he didn't have as good of teammates like Pippen, Rodman, and his coach Phil? See, okay, so here's another narrative that gets put out. Do you realize, Jordan, that in his career, LeBron played with more All-Star and first NBA team players than Mike ever did? And LeBron actually had something that Mike didn't have. Mike was at the mercy of his general manager. That's why that general manager, if you watch The Last Dance, he said it didn't matter if they won the championship or not. He was busting the team up. Today, players dictate everything. They dictate where they go. They dictate what players come up. They get coaches fired. They get general managers fired if they don't like what they're doing. Two different eras. So when you look at Mike, everybody wants to talk about Pippen. Everybody wants to talk about Rodman, right? So let me break it down really, really quick. Pippen was drafted by the Bulls, developed by the Bulls. He didn't join the Bulls. Mike didn't pull him from somewhere else. Mike didn't go join Scotty. He was drafted. Dennis Rodman came when nobody wanted Dennis Rodman. San Antonio had pretty much benched him for a whole season because of all of these antics and things that he had. He was really a cancer. Nobody wanted him. Nobody. Mike said, hey, when the general manager went to him about him, he said, look, as long as he comes and plays, he plays. They brought in Ron Harper, who nobody wanted. Nobody. He was older. He was in his late 30s. So when everybody talks about all of these talent that Mike played with, most of it was homegrown. B.J. Armstrong wasn't an all-star. You know what I mean? Like Paxson wasn't an all-star. So where's all this talent that Mike played with? Scottie Pippen was great, but he wasn't a Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, all on the same team. He wasn't a Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, all on the same team. Anthony Davis. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, so we really can't do that. You know what I mean? So LeBron wouldn't fit in Phil Jackson's system if he had it. And here's the reason why, Jordan. Again, I don't want to knock somebody down to build somebody up. We're just talking facts, right? Phil Jackson's system, the triangle, was predicated on ball movement and hitting open shots. LeBron is not the best shooter. So even if he had Phil, LeBron wouldn't have necessarily excelled. Matter of fact, it may have hurt his game because Phil would have had LeBron getting the ball out of his hand a lot more than what LeBron does, because LeBron likes to beat the ball a lot at the top of the key. Phil would have had him moving the ball, right? He'd move that ball, move your feet, find a spot, and then hit the open shot. So you try to use that argument a little bit, but it doesn't really stick. LeBron consistently has played on more talented teams than Mike did, and he played in weaker conferences. Think of when he was in Cleveland, it was almost like a cakewalk to the Eastern Conference Finals every single year until Boston came along. And then once he got through Boston and Detroit, as they aged out, it was really a cakewalk. Then he went to Miami. It really was a cakewalk. Like, it was just, it was nothing. So it's just, again, these are just differences. Mike he was at the mercy of his general manager. So Mike was old school. When we played ball, the coach would put a piece of paper on the gym door, and that was the basketball team for the season. You had no control over who made the team and who didn't make the team. You better ball out if your team wasn't no good and try to carry the team. You hope that you had a good team. That was what Mike had, whereas LeBron basically was handpicking players. I mean, think of it. He brought Russell Westbrook. He's bringing all these different players in. If he didn't like it, then he would get them gone. He getting coaches in and out. You know what I mean? It's just different. And so I know Jordan, I know Kendall, I know you guys hear this stuff on TV all the time about these things. Well, what if LeBron had this and what if LeBron had that? Man, like, he's had everything that he ever could want. Literally, he's had everything. If he wanted a player, he was able to get him. And in some ways, he underachieved, and again, it's not his fault. He's a different player than Mike. Mike was just, for a lack of a better term, Mike was just a killer, man. He was not going to let his team lose. If you remember the All-Star game, remember Kobe and Dwayne Wade was screaming at LeBron because he didn't want to shoot the ball with the last second. And I know people say that's not a big deal, but it just is the mentality. If he had a little bit more killer in him, he probably would have more championships. You know what I mean? And you can see it. It's like a hot potato when games get tight, man. That ball, he gets it out real quick, but then he blames a person for missing a shot. You know what I mean? So it's just different, Jordan. It's just different, Kendall. You know what I mean? LeBron can choose whatever. Yeah, he used to. But see, what has happened now is that teams have so there's a second apron, right? That's a huge part of it, is the Bron effect, is the second apron. MJ willed his teammates to victory today. You can fuss about your teammates, and it's a different mindset today. Yeah. Thank you. Hey, thank you, Jermaine, for that. That's the facts. Thank you, Banano, for that. Yeah. Get the likes up, man. All the numbers and reactions matter. Appreciate that. Yeah. And if you don't follow me on IG, make sure you follow me there too, so I can get those numbers up too. But yeah, here for sure, man, hit the thumbs up, leave some comments for me, about the show. And this really is the basis, guys. It's just when I go live, we can just have these conversations, man. We can have some fun. So here's the schedule. Let's get to the schedule really quick. So I'm going to be doing Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. live, just like this, right? There'll be a subject that we'll talk about, and we'll do just like this, man. If more people come on, we'll try to tap in and try to get everybody involved as much as possible. But it'll be a fun live. We'll have a good time, different topics, different subjects, different things going on, and we'll try to stay on those topics. Throughout the week, I will be dropping, videos about 10 minutes about a particular subject. So I know I want to do one this weekend about the NBA season, about the NFL season coming up, highlight, games that are on the schedule, things to look at, that type of thing. And those will be like 10 minutes. So that's why I want you to turn a notification on. That way, when I drop those, you get notified. You guys can watch them, help get the views up on those, get the thumbs up, all of that good stuff. If breaking news happens, if something happens in the NFL or the NBA or baseball, whatever, then I'll go live. That's another reason why I want the notifications up, so that when you see it, even if you're, doing something and you can't really listen, man, just log on, hit the mute button, and just support that way. That's a huge help for me as well. But that's going to be the format. Once a month, I am going to have my Women's Wednesday, like I was going to have before, where we talk, women's sports, whether it's WNBA, whether it's college sports, and I'll have some stories in mind that maybe aren't getting discussed, because that is something that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough. And when it is talked about, like right now, everything about the WNBA is negative, right? So I want to do something differently with that. I want to have a Women's Wednesday, like once a month. I'm looking forward to having some interviews with, I got a couple of people up my sleeve, that played, and one that coaches right now, that I'm hoping I can get a hold of and do some interviews there on Women's Wednesday. But that's kind of the plan, right? So we'll do some fun things, whole new format. And I think it's just going to be better. This feels more comfortable doing live because I can just communicate with you guys, less time consuming, with having a pre-recorded and then add. If you look at some of the older episodes up here, you'll see where I have, videos and pictures and sound effects and all this other kind of, it just took a lot of time to put that together. And so I realized the attention span of people is shorter. So having 35-minute shows, where they sit down and actually watch, is not realistic. So my shows will be somewhere between 8 and 12 minutes long. That way people can watch them. Hopefully they enjoy the subject matter. If you want to leave a comment, great. And here's the other aspect. I wanted to be interactive. So if you follow me on IG, feel free to DM me if you have any ideas, or you hear a story that you want to talk about, or there's a subject that you want to talk about. DM me, let me know. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to create basically a spreadsheet of topics, and we'll slowly try to get through those topics as things move forward. That way everybody can feel like, they're having a part of the show. I don't want it to be all about me. I want it to be about fans. That's why it's Listen Man, for fans, by a fan. It's about us. You know what I mean? So I appreciate everybody for jumping on here, taking time out of your evening, taking time away from your families, if you have them, things that you might want to do, to be here with your boy. So I really appreciate it. I'm hoping when we go live Wednesday, we can help get these numbers up. So spread the word. If you had a good time, man, tell folks about it, man. Just send it to them. Send them to my IG so they can follow me there. Send them here to YouTube and tell them to subscribe. And I just can't thank you guys enough, man, for being supportive. Couple of quick things. There's not anybody really local here, but just for the sake of the show, I promise. New Wave Barber Studio down in Moorhead, they are doing a free haircuts tomorrow for back to school. So free haircuts tomorrow, at New Wave, downtown Moorhead City. So if you happen to be in that area and you want a haircut and you're in school, go see my man down there. Mayor Lee Styles sent that to me. So shout out to Lee for always pushing things for the community. That's what I want this to be too, about community as well. So New Wave. And then if you look up here, guys, you got my brother Big Shoe, Relationship Explorers podcast is another great show. It's just exploring, different aspects of relationships, man, from a positive perspective as well, from a family perspective, from a, good perspective. So, yeah, you know what I mean? So make sure you guys check him out, try to help him out if you can, look for him on IG, follow him there, him and Tim. And look, we're just going to have fun, man. And I can't thank you guys enough. So I'm going to let you guys get back to your night, man. As I always end every show in the past, I'll keep ending it this way. Thank you. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you hit the notification and you like. But more importantly, share with anybody that likes sports, anybody that likes something positive. Man, share. Send them my way. We'll take care of them over here. And always, as I always say, man, keep positive people in your life. Keep them close to you. The more positive people you have in your life, the more positive your life is going to be. The more people you're going to have to help keep you on track, man. That's what it's all about. So stay positive, man. I love you guys. Appreciate you. We're going to have some nice changes coming up for Wednesday. I'll see if you guys can spot them. And then we're also going to have a few things coming up with shirts and hoodies and all kind of stuff that we're going to try to put out once this thing kind of grows a little bit more. But these are things down the line. So, man, can't thank you guys enough, man. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a great night. Make sure you leave some comments here. And make sure you follow me on IG. But more importantly, man, spread the word. And listen, last but not least, don't think that this is just for brothers, okay? This is not just for brothers. Like I said, we're going to have a Women's Wednesday. So if you know any sisters that like sports, just like talking, seeing some positivity, or just want to support, man, spread the word, okay? So you guys have a good night. I'm out. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.